Will these Lord of the Rings spoilers tempt enough players into buying the sealed product, or has Wizards reached too far? It was a big news day in the world of Magic the Gathering yesterday. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel. Like many of you, I was very excited to start reading all the Lord of the Rings cards that were spoiled, but I always take that cynical side of me to look at the cards and look at the value held within those cards to determine if a box, if sealed product is worth buying. When the singles are always so readily available now and the money moves on so quickly, I started diving into the cards and looking at them, seeing how the feasibility of some of these cards might be played in certain decks, as well as the idea of reskinning later on to see which cards may come around more frequently. The financial side you can't help but look at when you've decided to buy a box or to buy singles, and which cards will be printed more quickly than others when they do upcoming secret layers or other reprint sets, because we know Wizards of the Coast is really big into this now, and they're printing at such a fast pace that a lot of the time we're not looking at true value for dollar as we are just trying to keep up with the Joneses and the new sets that come out at these very high and often unwarranted price points. So let's take a look at a few of these cards, and let me give you my honest opinion of what I think is going on with some of them, okay? They are interesting. So our first card, of course, this is like a box topper, and it's the Great Henge. And of course they have the party tree there. You can see it on the screen in front of you. But when I looked at this card, I knew it was coming back around. I had mentioned it to people on my Patreon, the Discord, and I'd said this, they got to reprint it soon. The price is too high. But the way they reprint it into a set like this, I really thought they were going to put it in Eldraine. I didn't think they would put it into a set like this where the price point of entry is so high that most of the average players of Magic will not be able to buy this product. They won't be able to hope to get this card unless they buy it on the secondary market anyway. And the people who can really afford to dive into the epic set that is Lord of the Rings, the idea at least of the IP, and be able to crack these boxes and experience it, the players who are doing that can already afford the Great Henge and probably already own some. So I'm not sure if Wizards really hit the point here. I think they missed the target actually in a big way, trying to make the affordability of some of these cards reach a different player base. Now with our next card, I want to show you guys Gandalf, who, by the way, I like the artwork, I like the imagery. I'm not sure the card frame fits. I actually looked at this card and wished they had done a special card frame of some of the land you guys saw that they've come up with, but made that into an art frame around the card. I think that would be a little more Tolkien to kind of do, but it's fine. I get it. The lands are okay. I mean, they're nothing big to me, but this card does have, it reminded me of something, and that's what I want to talk about. I look at the card. It's a 5 casting cost, 3/4, legendary creature, avatar wizard. Nothing seems unusual. And it says, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose one that hasn't been chosen. And there's different abilities. One that says tap or untap a target permanent. Gandalf the Grey does 3 damage to each opponent. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. And then, of course, you put Gandalf back on top. So you can kind of recycle things. But this is where things got a little bit interesting for me. I started comparing it, right? Oh, by the way, here's the alternate frame. I started comparing this card. At first, I thought of Elminster. You know what? It was purely an imagery thing where they kind of look similar to me. So I went nowhere with that. I'm saying, where have I seen this kind of card design before, this idea? And that's when I got to Ral Zarek. Okay, if you take a look, Ral Zarek's 4. He is a planeswalker. But that first ability, tap or untap a target permanent. Well, that makes sense. And so does Gandalf do that as well. Gandalf deals 3 damage and Ral Zarek can do 3 damage. Of course, Ral Zarek is a single target, where Gandalf is to each opponent, which is interesting because, of course, that's geared for Commander, where Ral Zarek was geared toward individual combat. Now, Ral Zarek's last power obviously is a total different take. It's flip coins and take turns, where Gandalf has copying instants or sorceries, right? And then, of course, you put Gandalf on top. But they are a similar enough card mechanic that it hit my head. And I said, you know what? It's going to be a $5 card. Okay, that's where this kind of card is going to fall. It's going to see some playability. It's going to have some fun. But that's not a lot of money. That's not a big money card, it's just a fun card. When you're thinking of the price of these Commander decks, $400 and something, you gotta put something in there that actually makes me want to buy it. And right now, seeing that kind of card is fun. I love looking at Gandalf, but that's not a powerful card. It's a fun utility card. It's great for a Commander deck to add in, but it's not going to drive home the point. Now here we have Mount Doom and the Shire. Let's stop here at Mount Doom for a second. The artwork is nice, but not awe-inspiring. It looks kind of generic to me. It is a legendary land that doesn't come into play tapped. I consider that a bonus in the value of a card. It's 1 red, 1 black, 1 generic. Mount Doom deals 1 damage to each opponent. That's kind of a nice effect. It reminds me of the Bolduvian Trading Post kind of thing. Except for it's not creatures, of course. It's going to be an actual opponent. But still, it's a nice little ability. Then we've got the 1 red, 1 black, and 5 generic. Sacrifice Mount Doom and a legendary artifact. Choose up to 2 creatures and then destroy the rest. Activate as a sorcery. I don't see this ability being used that often, but it's nice to have it as a threat that people have to worry about. It's a good thing to have in Commander. It's a nice card. It's going to have a little bit of value, but it's not going to be that high of a price card, I do not believe. And then we look at the Shire. The Shire to me is a much more meh. I feel like I'm watching the Emoji Movie. You're like, meh. It's a legendary land that comes into play tapped, unless you control a legendary creature. It only taps for 1 green, and then you can pay 1 green, 1 other, and you can create a food token if you tap an untapped creature. So I guess at the end of a turn, have a little bit of fun with it. It doesn't drive me, either of these cards, to the point where I say there's enough value in these cards to start thinking about, a box. When I start adding all these up, it's like, is that going to be enough for a box? Now, the 1 ring. We know this will only be found in things like the collector box. It's 1 of 300 in this case they're showing you the image of, and it's Soul Ring, done as the 1 ring. And it's fine. The artwork's amazing. I know it's going to be a great card. I know people are going to want to get it. So it doesn't matter if I poo-poo the card and say it's junk and you shouldn't buy it. People are going to. People will know there is value here and they want this card. And as the IP, I can say, yeah, a lot of people are going to be really driven for this card. I understand that. But this does not hold value to me. It is a great piece of artwork. And it's up to 300 copies in the whole world probably is how they're going to coach this. But is that enough to start really adding up the chance to get this card? Is this going to be worth as much as a dual land, 2 dual lands, Underground Sea? Is this going to be worth as much as a Moat, the Abyss? Are we talking a Juzam Djinn level, $2,500? That's where my mind starts going when I'm thinking of the value of things. In the world of Magic the Gathering, most things will be compared against the reserve list in terms of where the value point will be found, the rarity, the use of the card. It's still just a Soul Ring with a different skin on it. People will be proxying this card in no time flat, and that's the shame of it, is that Wizards has priced this so far that players will immediately dispel any possibility of hoping to get it. They won't care, they won't spend the money, and they'll find avenues and ways around it to get the card they want. It's a little disappointing. Now the last card is the Lorien Brooch, and this one I found the most interesting in the entire set because equipped creature has non-basic land walk, and it's just an equip 2 and it's 2 to get out because you don't see a lot of land walk abilities anymore. So that caught my eye more than any of these cards I showed you today. Most of them see like slight kind of rehash reprint cards. It's more powerful than Dungeons and Dragons so far. I like that. The artwork and conceptual design looks fantastic. I saw the other cards, I just didn't put them up. They didn't grab me enough to really have a conversation about it. Maybe I'll do it at a later point if I think of it. But when I'm looking at the cards today, and I start adding up the price points in my head, as well as how much it costs to get a box or a collector box of these cards, it does not meet my threshold for affordability. And I still think you'll have a lot of players turned off of this. There'll be people who go out for the draft. If there's a pre-release, players will dive right in for that one-time experience for the $40, $50 to do it. But for a lot of this product, it's meant, and it will be bought by the people with very deep pockets. And then after that initial run of the deep pockets is done, it's going to sit on your LGS store shelf. And then about a year from now, it's probably going to be discounted on things like Amazon, just like we've been seeing recently. Just like with Double Masters, yesterday went on sale. People sent it on my Discord. I got some emails about it. You look at it and say, Double Masters 2022 on sale already? not even a year around, and we're already discounting it to move out products. And it just shows the pace in which Wizards of the Coast is doing things. So if you're a patient player, you can wait this out. You don't have to buy it at this price point. You can delay it. Like we talked about in Monday's video, the way Wizards is speeding up the product release, not in terms of which products they're putting out, but the way they ditch the product lines and discount them later. It's like you're paying the highest point to get the brand new iPhone flashy thing now, but a year later when the next new model comes out, the old ones get discounted. And that's where we're going. You guys can go back and look at that video. I describe it in a lot more context and detail, but that's where they're headed with their product lines. They are moving at an accelerated rate of which we will not be able to keep pace. So you'll have players who fall behind by a year or two, waiting for the discounts to show up. And they may not be as deep a discount as what happened with Crimson Vow, but they're going to be there. They are definitely gearing this price point for the richest clientele. That's what we're seeing with Commander Masters. These things are meant for the richest people. And then later on, those who could not keep up with the Joneses can buy it on discount later when the newer models come out. It's very interesting, the design they're taking. But Lord of the Rings is a fun set. I don't think it comes even close to justifying buying it at this price point. You guys want to argue with me? Put it down in the comments section. Let me take a look at it. And of course, as always, thanks for hanging out with me on the channel today and allowing me to entertain you. I'm looking forward to seeing those comments and see what people think about the set, as well as the spoilers. Have a great day, everyone. Here we go again. A big shout out and thank you to the nachos and cheese lovers, the Army of Darkness fans, the Shaun of the Dead people who say, we're your patrons, Moxman. We're behind you. That's right. The patrons are here to save the day. I know not everything should be value for dollar. I get it. I get it. Welcome back to the end, everyone. And yes, I do feel it's going to be a fun set. I'm not going to take that away. It's going to be a fun set. But somebody better clean my glasses for me because I'm just not seeing the value in the dollar sense. And anything I see that's going to be good is going to be reprinted so quickly in a secret layer or somewhere else as a reskin that just doesn't make sense. I mean, Great Henge, Party Tree, that kind of thing. And even the Great Henge, it's great that if it came back around, but why put it into only a premium priced product? Wizards just is not learning their lesson about the average player base of Magic the Gathering and where the funds are being allocated. If anything, they're alienating their player base. I don't know, we'll see. You know what? The One Ring, the Soul Ring, it's going to tempt people. Do I think it's as cool as the Kaladesh? No, but I think it's going to be pricier than the Kaladesh. I think that's how people are going to look at products like this, which is just going to spur Wizards on when they see the secondary market. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. And I look forward to seeing what happens in this video tomorrow. It's going to be great. All right, have a great day, everyone. Talk to you soon. You made it past the magical door. Good for you. Good. It's like making it past the end credits of a Marvel movie. Commander Legends. That's right. We're going to put one of these packs into the 20K bin. Now you know it's there and nobody else does. And sometimes that's important. So if you're new to the channel, pay attention to what goes in there sometimes. You never know. Anyway, thanks for being here.